I have a question for you. How do you feel about cancel culture? And like, do you feel like people should be forgiven?
Depending on what they did. It all depends on what they did. So R. Kelly, canceled. Boy, bye. I don't want to hear nothing from him. So it really depends on what they did. There are people who have opinions, right? So we can talk about Dave Chappelle. He has a right to his opinion. I personally, I know. I said his name specifically because I know how you feel about it, right?
Okay, what are we talking about specifically?
Let's talk about how, Dave Chappelle was trying to be canceled, right? Because of his comedy special where he told the story about his trans friend that passed away. Okay. And the trans community, they hate Dave Chappelle, right? Because he's a comedian, right? He tells jokes.
But then he had the person on a show with him.
He sure did. She committed suicide because of the backlash that she received from the trans community, which she is a part of, and because she supported Dave Chappelle, right? So Dave Chappelle, he explains it, very masterfully as well. This is how I used to tell my jokes. This trans woman used to come to my shows. And after my show, we had a conversation. We became friends. But he's a comedian, right? And when he tells jokes about Black people, he makes fun of Black people, nobody has a problem with it. When he makes fun of women, nobody has a problem with it. He's poked jokes at the LGBT community, and now we need to cancel him. How about that? So, and I use this as an example because cancel culture it's not a blanket thing. It's cancel culture generally is somebody saw something, they didn't like it, so now they're trying to get everybody else to not like it, and kind of jump on their bandwagon and tear down somebody's career. We can look at DaBaby, his comments that he made. I don't think he needed to be canceled completely, but I think he needed to learn a lesson. He needed to learn a lesson.
No.
I think people can be forgiven. I think people can be forgiven.
I'm gonna say this on my only issue with the DaBaby situation was there was no accountability.
Correct. And that's why he needed to get.
And then when people started canceling his ass,
that's when he started talking.
When he started to take accountability.
Correct. Yes.
So it's authentic.
That's very valuable. Very valuable.
And
right?
And then the way he was treating the mother of his daughter.
Well,
and I have this problem with all these rappers that are having babies, and they have this lack of respect for the woman who has carried a baby for 9 stinking months in their bodies. That could cause all types of issues. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But that's my problem with.
I'm writing that down for another topic. He should have been canceled long before his homophobic comments or his homophobic rant. He should have been canceled long before that because
homophobia was like AIDS and all of that. Anyway, we're not gonna.
Before that. His rhetoric about it's very obvious that he has a distaste for women, right? He has there's an issue that he has when it comes to women. I don't know what trauma he experienced in his childhood, and I guarantee you there's trauma. But when you listen to his music, it's all misogynistic. I don't actually. I've heard a couple of things, right? Because as you know, I DJ as well, and I've heard some of his stuff, and a lot of misogynistic lyrics and stuff like that. And then he comes out and he says this, and I was big mad because I'm like, what made me mad about it? And it was the way he handled it right after. So he says these comments, and somebody in media posted this on Twitter to make people aware of what happened, right? And his response was to get on an IG live the next day and justify it by, well, I have a lot of gay fans, blah blah blah, and they all know me, and I know them.
I'm not racist.
And I love
have a lot
them.
Of black friends.
Right. So I was upset about that, right?
Yeah.
And I did say he needed to be. I was agreeing with. He needed to be canceled for a minute. because, because everybody's like, oh, why are you trying to stop his money? He has kids to feed and this and that, that. Okay, but if you have a fan base, right? And you're now on a level of an international level, and you can't be saying things like that. You can't be promoting that kind of hate rhetoric, right?
Absolutely.
It's not okay. So I felt like he did have an opportunity to be forgiven. I felt like he needed to know what it feels like to, take him back to his roots when he had nothing. Remember, you were just here, right? And I felt
but he made it clear that he'll never be there again, because he was posting all types of things to say, hey, you guys can try to tear me down, but you ain't gonna tear me down. But
he was torn down because.
But remember Nick Cannon. Remember, he got fired from his show Wild 'N Out because of his conversations around, like, I think it was like Jewish people and stuff like that. It was a big thing. And
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah, and then he apologized. Yeah. He got in touch with the community, decided to do some learning and unlearning, and he took accountability for his actions. Right? It was ignorance, and he acknowledged that it was ignorance.
Correct.
And he got his show back, and he's doing his thing. Right? Whoopi Goldberg the other day, she made some comments, and then she's now suspended for 2 weeks. She took accountability. Like those types of things. I mean, that's like I respect that.
Yeah.
Right. So when it comes to like cancel culture, for me, I don't think that we should be pick choosing and refusing who we cancel and you know what I mean? Like we have to be consistent, and we have to be understanding, because everybody, let me pull that back. People deserve second chances, right? And sometimes it's the way that people are educated, right? And the things that they learn, why they say the things they say and they do the things they do. But once they're willing to unlearn some of those, like racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic things that they learn, and they're willing to educate themselves and kind of like, learn like how to engage in certain conversations, I think that it's important for us to give them an opportunity to take what they've learned and put it into practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So when we're not giving people the space to do that, they're going to say, who cares? Like, okay, I said it, and cancel me if you want to cancel me. So, like I feel like that's how cancel culture should be. But I don't think that that's the way that it's working, right? People
no, definitely not.
Cancel him. He said something racist. Cancel him. He said this. But we're not really saying, okay, like we're canceling them, and then what? Right?
Exactly.
Like, that's the part. Like you're canceling them, and then what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. So we have to kind of like create that. Like we have to say, okay, buddy, you said something messed up. Are you willing to learn from what you just did and figure out how you can fix it?
Right.